They promised us the biggest blockbuster of the decade, a game that would not only shatter records, but set an entirely new gold standard for the industry. Yet here we are, waiting in suspense. That is what many passionate gamers are shouting across forums whenever the topic of the next installment of Grand Theft Auto arises. Today we are going to delve deep into this burning subject, the highly anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6, also known as GTA 6, and how its apparent delay is casting ripple effects across the entire global video game market. Before we go any further, let us pin down the fundamental questions we will be asking in this very special exploration. What exactly triggered this delay, and why is it generating such immense waves in an industry that deals with constant announcements and new releases virtually every month? Are hardware price hikes and shifting consumer patience adding to the concern, or do we have other hidden factors at play? In this script, we are going to peel back each revealing layer to examine everything from the role of major publishing giant Take-Two to the nuanced data from research firm Newzoo, whose projections for the video game market might not be exactly what you would expect. So be prepared, because we are going to connect the dots, the winding twists of hardware cycles, the tug-of-war between Microsoft Xbox and Sony PlayStation, and the cameo appearances by other blockbuster releases, like Capcom's Resident Evil Requiem. In this episode, we will analyze three main aspects that might alter the course of electronic entertainment in the very near future: new console cycles and how their pricing may be influencing consumer spending, the ramifications of Grand Theft Auto 6 not arriving in 2025 as many predicted, but presumably in 2026, and the significance of data highlighting that the overall global gaming sector could see only moderate growth this year, possibly picking up more momentum in the following years. You will find out how each development has far-reaching consequences for studios, investors, and, of course, eager players. Now, let us launch into the heart of the matter. Everyone remembers the moment Rockstar Games, the renowned studio behind Grand Theft Auto, first hinted that they were in the early stages of the next mainline entry in their signature series. Social media erupted, forums were abuzz, and speculation flew in every direction. Would it be set in Vice City again? Would it feature multiple protagonists, dynamic weather systems, or an online mode more elaborate than anything we had ever seen? The rumors flourished and expanded, but as official updates gradually emerged, many fans and analysts alike placed their bets on a 2025 release window. Industry watchers predicted that the next wave of console releases, along with Grand Theft Auto 6, would help catapult the gaming market to unprecedented financial heights. Many cited the massive injection of player enthusiasm that would reverberate through streaming channels, social media challenges, and an entirely fresh wave of user-generated content. In essence, everyone from small YouTube creators to large esports organizations was ready to cash in on the unstoppable force that a new Grand Theft Auto title usually represents. But in a surprise twist, rumors and subsequent hints from various inside sources began to suggest that the actual official release might not land until 2026, defying those hopeful expectations. The immediate reaction was a mixture of disappointment and confusion. Had Rockstar Games encountered developmental hurdles, or were they strategically choosing to align with future hardware upgrades to ensure the game's longevity and scale? Whatever the true reasons, the gaming world collectively sighed and realized that the wait for this colossal title would be longer than anticipated. From an industry-wide perspective, the release date of a game like Grand Theft Auto 6 is not just another big AAA date in the calendar. It is an event that can sway entire revenue forecasts for certain years. According to the research firm Newzoo, which compiles and analyzes market data, the global video game market's growth rate was initially expected to surge more strongly, but with the rumored plus of GTA 6's arrival, the forecast has become more subdued. While Newzoo still notes that the sector will grow steadily, hovering around low single-digit gains for some time, the absence of an enormous seller in 2025 might dull the heat that was expected to spark a considerable revenue spike. As one principal analyst, Michiel Buisman, points out, the market's dynamics are influenced by several concurrent elements: hardware pricing trends, next-generation console install base expansions, large-scale tariff fallout that can dampen consumer spending, and of course the arrival or delay of major software titles that can flip entire predictions in one fell swoop. This confluence of factors can create an environment in which many industry leaders hold their breath, waiting for a single release date announcement that can help them calibrate their own strategies. That is exactly how influential Grand Theft Auto 6 is presumed to be. In the short term, the slowdown might not appear catastrophic. Newzoo's data, as gleaned from insights shared with major news outlets, indicates only a slight difference in growth rate, from around 3.2% to around 3.4% over a span of a few years. Still a modest improvement, but not the explosive boost many had once forecasted. Nevertheless, that does not erase the fact that many big studios and publishers had pinned hopes on an earlier launch to galvanize the market. Those extra months, or even an entire additional year, can have a ripple effect on smaller developers, reliant on partnerships and potential cross-promotional deals with massive juggernauts like Rockstar Games. But the tale does not end with one delayed game. Additional variables are swirling about, including a wave of new hardware announcements. Microsoft's Xbox division, renowned for competing fiercely with Sony's PlayStation in a decades-long rivalry, recently spurred a debate when it announced price hikes on certain hardware. The broader context is that international tariffs have forced console makers to adjust their prices in some regions, leading to a wave of anxious speculation about whether budget-conscious gamers would skip upgrades or new device purchases altogether. At the same time, on the Sony side, the jump from the PlayStation 4 era to the PlayStation 5 era brought about a sizable increase in costs. The question is whether the console's potential for better graphics, speedier load times, and advanced data streaming is enough to justify its premium price tag. When you factor in a delay of Grand Theft Auto 6, a game that could serve as one of the largest draws for next-generation console adoption, some wonder if Sony PlayStation device sales will plateau earlier than expected. While the PlayStation 5 remains popular, the absence of a game that single-handedly compels everyone to upgrade can temper hardware demand. Nintendo, on the other hand, has been riding high with its Switch line, and their rumored Switch 2 is said to be picking up traction. Rumors suggest it is set to be an even stronger follow-up, presumably addressing performance concerns that some players had with the original Switch. The interesting twist is that Nintendo's loyal fan base remains robust, with people frequently citing the ample library of exclusive titles and the console's unique hybrid model for on-the-go or at-home gaming. But in an environment where inflationary pressures and tariff implications swirl around, no console manufacturer is fully insulated from price sensitivity among potential buyers. Then there is the new handheld device from Microsoft, the Xbox Ally, developed in partnership with Asus. Slated for a holiday 2025 window, this portable machine is rumored to support the entire Game Pass ecosystem on a handheld screen, effectively bridging the gap between console and mobile. If it manages to deliver console-standard graphics on the go, it might be a game-changer for travelers or casual players looking for more robust experiences outside the living room. However, again the question arises, with consumers feeling the pinch from hardware price hikes, will the Xbox Ally find its target audience at its presumably complex price point? So, we have the hardware conundrum brewing. On top of that are the big marquee titles that keep the gaming public's eyes glued to release dates. One of those upcoming releases, Capcom's Resident Evil Requiem, is expected to launch around the same time that GTA 6 was originally rumored to appear. If Rockstar's new title is indeed slated for 2026, Capcom might effectively have more breathing room in the spotlight, capturing media attention and early quarter sales that might otherwise have been dwarfed by the marketing avalanche associated with a Grand Theft Auto release. Meanwhile, Take-Two, the parent company behind Rockstar, must navigate these new waters. On the one hand, a delayed launch might let them polish the game to extraordinary levels, ensuring fewer issues at release and a stable online environment from day one. On the other hand, shareholders and partners might have banked on short-term gains. If the game slides into 2026, that revenue might appear in the next fiscal period, shifting the financial hills and valleys on corporate spreadsheets in ways that might affect everything from marketing budgets for other releases to staff expansions. Now, let us circle back to the question. Given these changes and uncertainties, how exactly does the video game market stand to grow in the imminent future? While some cynics are predicting gloom, the data from Newzoo suggests that the market will still expand, albeit at a steadier pace than previously forecasted. The annualized growth to 2027 is expected to hover in the low single digits, a figure that might not seem like the dramatic leaps we saw when earlier consoles launched. However, In an industry that is constantly in flux, stability can be a virtue, especially if it allows for better quality control and more calculated releases. Additionally, the eventual release of Grand Theft Auto 6, whenever it lands, could single-handedly spark a rejuvenation in the market. Rockstar's reputation for delivering engrossing, sprawling open-world adventures remains unmatched in the eyes of many. Each installment in the series historically surpasses the last, with Grand Theft Auto 5 crossing unimaginable sales milestones and continuing to dominate digital storefronts nearly a decade after its debut. The excitement alone, the countless online theories, and the speculation about what California or Florida City might be the next playground of chaos underscores the brand's unstoppable hold on gamers of all nations. Here comes our first call to action. If you are enjoying this deep dive into the swirling complexities of the gaming industry and the jaw-dropping ripple effects that a single release date can have, feel free to support the conversation by sharing your thoughts or giving us a friendly like, depending on where you are tuning in. That small gesture helps this exploration reach more people who might also crave a behind-the-scenes look at why our favorite games are not always arriving on our consoles as soon as we hope. So, picking up from there, it is worth noting that public sentiment is not only about a date scrawled on a corporate press release. Gamers today are juggling multiple concerns: the rising price of game hardware, potential microtransactions creeping into once simple titles, complete ecosystems that can lock you in if you buy digital copies, and the broader economic climate that might discourage lavish entertainment spending. This dynamic interplay means that even a surefire hit like Grand Theft Auto 6 needs to land at precisely the right time to achieve maximum impact. Too early, and the hardware foundation might not yet be established to showcase the game's full potential. Too late, and some potential buyers might have shifted their attention to other next-gen experiences, or even entire new genres, like virtual reality or cloud-based gaming. Furthermore, the entire production pipeline for AAA games has grown increasingly complex. Graphic fidelity is hitting new heights, storylines are expected to be more layered and cinematic, and entire digital ecosystems revolve around expansions, downloadable content, and player-created modifications. Coupled with that is the juggernaut of online multiplayer, which demands stable servers, constant updates, and significant developer resources. Rockstar faces all these complexities with each iteration of Grand Theft Auto, which likely stands among the 5 or so largest productions in gaming history. One can easily imagine that a shift of a few months is far from surprising, given the scale of what is at stake. Looking at the console side, as mentioned, we have observed Microsoft and Sony jockeying for position. Microsoft, with the unveiling of the Xbox Ally, wants to prove that it can innovate in the portable space, perhaps learning from the success of the Nintendo Switch. Meanwhile, Sony is probably content focusing on its home console strengths. Its PlayStation brand remains a formidable titan in gaming, recognized for popular exclusives and a large, loyal consumer base. However, with the cost of the PlayStation 5 creeping up in certain territories, enthusiasts might weigh their purchasing decisions more carefully, especially if the marquee titles, such as a new Rockstar game, will not show up on store shelves for another 1 or 2 years. On the flip side, Nintendo has turned heads with Switch 2 rumors, rumored to be one of the company's fastest-selling upgrades once it arrives. The original Switch soared in popularity for bridging handheld and home console experiences seamlessly, complete with beloved franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, and the unstoppable wave of Pokémon titles. If the new iteration of the hardware provides significant leaps in performance, it could be perfect timing for a market that might be hungry for fresh hardware while waiting for behemoth AAA releases on other platforms. That said, the rumored price increases, partly attributed to trade tariffs and supply chain constraints, could hamper the Switch 2's momentum if the device is out of reach for the average smartphone-weary consumer. Thus, we see the entire tapestry of gaming in a tenuous dance. Each console maker tries to keep pace with shifting consumer behaviors, while game publishers plot their release schedules with maximum synergy in mind. Meanwhile, research firms like Newzoo are left to measure these swirling currents to produce growth forecasts that help guide investors. The signals suggest that 2025 will see only a marginal improvement from 2024, but 2026 might bring the real fireworks, courtesy of the distinctive roar that usually follows a major GTA launch. Another factor that cannot be overlooked is the potential synergy between PC gaming and console releases. Traditionally, Rockstar has staggered the PC release of Grand Theft Auto games, letting the console versions gain traction first. According to the data, the announcement that Grand Theft Auto 6 on PC would eventually arrive, perhaps overshadowing the console debut a year or so later, could prolong the game's sales tail far beyond 2026 or 2027. PC games also generate a massive wave of modding content and community-driven expansions, further extending the life cycle of any title that fosters creativity. If Rockstar decides to harness that potential, supporters from all corners of the gaming community could converge, fueling sales for years. Even Newzoo's more modest forecasts could see an upswing as the full cross-platform release cycle unfolds. Let us also reference the interplay of big franchises. The conjunction of Grand Theft Auto 6 with titles such as Resident Evil Requiem from Capcom. Resident Evil Requiem is set to attract horror fans and series loyalists with new mechanics, possibly advanced storytelling, and iconic monster designs. Typically, it might carve out a significant and profitable slice of the market. Yet, that slice might look different if overshadowed by a mammoth phenomenon like GTA. But with the shift in Rockstar's timeline, Requiem might now get a moment in the sun. That dynamic demonstrates just how a little shift by one giant can free up oxygen for others to flourish, or conversely, overshadow them completely if the release windows align, unfortunately. The next few years will likely reveal whether these concerns about the delay damaging overall market momentum are valid or exaggerated. Historically, the video game industry has proven remarkably resilient, bouncing back from economic recessions and evolving with technology leaps that sometimes left older models in the dust. From a vantage point of innovation, each new hardware cycle births fresh possibilities for game design. The looming question is whether these possibilities will truly dazzle players enough to open their wallets at a rate that meets or exceeds forecasts. There is also the intangible factor of consumer morale. Big reveals like GTA 6 ignite excitement in a community that sometimes teeters on the edge of cynicism, especially when news of microtransactions, delayed updates, or incomplete game launches arises. Many players long for a return of the moment when a game is launched with near-flawless quality and robust content right out of the gate. Perhaps that is exactly what Rockstar aims to guarantee with its extended development cycle. If the result is a more polished, stable, and game-changing GTA experience, we might see a massive wave of fans praising the decision to wait. The difference between a rocky launch and a smooth one can be the difference between short-lived hype and many years of robust profitability. Either way, the chatter is unstoppable. People speculate across every social media platform, corners of the internet are devoted to dissecting potential clues, and entire channels revolve around picking apart tiny details gleaned from official statements. The fact that so many are passionately discussing a game that is still roughly 1 or 2 years away from release underscores just how pivotal GTA 6 is to the cultural zeitgeist of gaming. Whether or not the global market sees a mild or moderate gain in 2025 might hinge as much on the power of hype as it does on actual hardware adoption rates. And here is our second and final call to action. If this unraveling story of anticipation, corporate maneuvering, and technological evolution has you reminiscing about why you fell in love with gaming in the first place, we invite you to stay connected. Subscribe or follow if you want more in-depth discussions on upcoming releases, behind-the-scenes peeks at development cycles, and industry revelations that can sometimes read like the most suspenseful of thrillers. We promise no spam, just straight talk and a place to share your own views. Combining all of these threads, you can see that we are at a fascinating crossroads. On one side, the delay in launching Grand Theft Auto 6 might well push the gaming industry's biggest jolt of growth to 2026. On the other side, smaller seasonal titles and hardware shifts, like the new Switch 2, the rumored expansions for the Xbox ecosystem, and even upgraded versions of the PlayStation 5 could all help keep interest alive in the meantime. Growth might be less dramatic, as the report from Newzoo suggests, but that does not mean it will be stagnated. All it takes is one major development, like a rumored deep dive trailer from Rockstar, or an early glimpse of the reimagined cityscapes we might soon be roaming, to catapult the discussion into overdrive again. At the center of it all stands the question of how consumers will respond in the face of rising prices, uncertain release windows, and respite from the typical hype cycle. Will the hardcore audience remain just as loyal, saving up for that massive leap in technology once the game is finally here? Or will new forms of entertainment, from an entirely different kind of console or an emergent subscription model, swoop in and divert attention? Those are the discussions unfolding in boardrooms, on talk shows, and in the corners of the internet communities that shape the very soul of gaming. What we do know is that the wait for Grand Theft Auto 6, though agonizing for some, is only fueling more speculation, more articles, and more analysis. In some ways, the continued delays may only heighten the appetite for the final product, setting it up for a colossal debut, possibly bigger than anything the franchise has ever seen. The next generation of gaming, complete with next-level open worlds, staggering narrative possibilities, and online communities that extend across continents, is within sight. By all accounts, Grand Theft Auto 6 is poised to anchor that generation. If it arrives in 2026, it could represent a synergy between new console technology and carefully honed development, an ideal environment for unleashing something spectacular. Even the mention of a PC version eventually launching sometime later incites excitement. After all, mod enthusiasts and advanced hardware adopters eagerly contributed to the lasting popularity of Grand Theft Auto 5. So, the unveiling of the next iteration might keep the game relevant well into the tail end of the decade. In the meantime, watchers of the industry will keep their eyes peeled for further statements from Take-Two, Rockstar, or credible insiders. Will the company hold a spotlight event to reveal gameplay footage, as other publishers have done in recent years? Or will Rockstar maintain its more enigmatic approach to marketing, dropping cryptic teasers that generate even more chatter? However it plays out, analysts will watch closely to see what effect the eventual official date has on quarterly forecasts and whether the predicted growth rate of 3.4% in 2025 will need another revision. The gaming world stands on the brink of new vistas, with hardware evolutions like advanced ray tracing, improved controllers, more immersive audio, and robust online infrastructures. Behind the scenes, price hikes and tariffs threaten to temper the excitement for some, while dedicated fans on every continent clamor for the next big title. Perhaps that is the real story: gaming's uncanny ability to adapt to, or even transcend, the economic challenges swirling around it. We might see certain times of mild uncertainty, but the day a new Grand Theft Auto goes gold is the day that fans flock to find out what kind of mischief they can get into in Rockstar's next digital playground. Much remains uncertain, predictions are not set in stone, but the potential for a powerful industry upswing tied to Grand Theft Auto 6 is very real. Studios anticipate that next-generation consoles, handheld expansions, and PC breakthroughs will meet or exceed the hype with enough momentum to carry the market onward. Whether it is next year or the following one, the arrival of Grand Theft Auto 6 will almost certainly be accompanied by a wave of jubilant players, theories, controversies, and headlines that spark interest in gaming, from the hardcore loyalist to the casual onlooker who maybe only picks up a controller a few times a year. Until that day, all we can do is analyze the hints, interpret the data, and watch the gentle dance of hardware manufacturers, all of whom want their devices to be the place gamers flock to when that digital metropolis of open-world anarchy finally opens its doors. And for the gamers among us, there might even be a small relief that the next big thing will not arrive for a while longer, giving us time to catch up on other gems piling up in our backlogs. Yet in the back of everyone's mind stands that one question: how unstoppable could the entire video game market become the moment Grand Theft Auto 6 finally, decisively, and universally makes its long-awaited debut?